Hello, everyone. You're tuning in to the Christina Silva Show. And today we are educating our veterans live about how to customize your go bag and where to go to find the contents. We have a special expert today, Jeff Edelstein, who has a long-time career in the emergency management field. And he's going to share with us where he came from, who he is, what he stands for, and where he'll be on November 6th. Hey, Jeff, welcome to the Christina Silva Show.
Hi, how you doing?
Excellent. I'm so glad to meet and know more about you because we're going to let the world know how we work together. And I want to hear about where you're from and what drove you and inspired you to be part of the emergency management industry.
Okay. Well, our business, SOS Survival Products, I started it 35, 36 years ago. Um, I saw when I was in college, I saw a need for preparedness
Yes.
and started the business and ran it out of a dorm room for about one semester and realized there's bigger things than what I was doing out of a dorm room. And moved back home and basically retooled the business. And but my basic background was I grew up in a hardware store, so my family was in the hardware business, and that was my background from the time I was 5 through college. Like I said, I started my business when I was in college, and thought we'd work with back then we did retail sales and had a tiny little U-Store facility and went to all types of conferences and conventions and got our name out there. And since then, we've grown into the location that we're at in Van Nuys. Um, been in this location for about 34 years. We have we do retail sales from here. We ship all over the United States. But we our main goal is to get people prepared for emergencies, whether it's an earthquake, fire, flood, power outage, you name it. But we want to get people prepared before the disaster.
Yes.
Yeah, it's otherwise,
Excellent.
there's we're there for like I said before the disaster, when the disaster happens, after for the recovery. So we want to take care of everybody's needs.
Yes, most definitely. Traditionally, we used to believe that you would just need 2 to 3 days worth of emergency supplies to get by in an emergency such as maybe a heat wave or hurricane, flash flood, earthquake. But now we may even need longer with threats to the power grid and some of the amazing catastrophes that are growing in their devastation, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the disasters. You look at the past 10, 15 years, different types of natural disasters and man-made disasters that have happened. And the original 3 days when I first got involved in the business, that's not realistic. You have to look at the types of effects that we've had in past disasters, and it could be a week or 2 weeks or 4 weeks. It could be 3 months that you might not have fresh water or a power supply or natural gas to your house. But you need to be, people need to prepare for themselves, be on their own, whether it's an individual or a business, for a week to a couple months.
Yes, a lot of the disaster supplies too can't be ruined even if it gets wet because many things that we sell these days are waterproof, and it is better to have something and to start somewhere with your disaster preparedness than not to. And I want you to stress that point to everyone.
Yeah, it's too often people. Well, one of these things that I've found in this industry is, or in this field, is people are very reactionary. They wait till disasters happen to get prepared. So whether it was the fires in January that were devastating all, throughout most of California, um, people waited till the fires hit them to say, "Oh, I need to get supplies. Um, I need to have them set aside just in case I have to evacuate my house." Well, that's a little late then. So we've all really stressed prepare beforehand and have the supplies available, have them stored so you could just grab them and go. Um, And it's just so important. You look at all the different markets that were closed or from power outages. I know in my area we had a 5 day power outage, and all uh, the markets, every retail store in the area for about a 5 mile radius was shut down. The gas stations were non-existent. So really, if we have one of these major disasters, um, people that might have needs such as charging a electric car, if you have no electricity, how you can do it. If the gas stations aren't operational because there's no electricity, how are you gonna get gas in your car? If you have to evacuate, that's those are key things to think about. And then you don't want to, again, you don't want to have to run to a market that might not be operational. So you want to have supplies set aside.
Definitely. Some things that are key that are bigger items that would fit in your vehicle. I'm learning more and more that my vehicle, if I need to flee a situation, is a very important storage place for survival products. So let's talk about the biggest items we may want to start considering that are costly, like a generator. Let's paint a picture of some of the bigger items and expand the thinking of our listeners today on what they could acquire to grow their go bag and their emergency supplies.
Yeah, when you think about preparedness, you really want to think about, well, like you said, the larger items, but you want to assess your needs. So larger items such as a generator, backup lighting, backup, just different things for mobility even. Um, you have to think about your needs. So before investing the money in a generator or a 7 day or 30 day or 6 month supply of food, those are items that are big, and it's an investment. So you want to know that it's actually going to meet your needs. So whether it's a 3 month or 6 month supply of food, for example, if you're a diabetic or if you have special dietary needs such as a low sodium diet or food allergies, a lot of those 30 day or 60 or 30 day, 3 month, 6 month supplies of freeze dried food are not going to fit your needs. So you really have to customize that food to meet your actual needs. You may have to go for a shorter period of time or update it on a more frequent basis. Uh, like you'd mentioned, Christina, the generators. Generators are a great resource. Whether it's somebody that has, let's say, mobility issues that uses an electric wheelchair, or somebody that for medical needs has a CPAP or uses oxygen to sleep with at night, or just is hooked up to oxygen, or has medication that has to be refrigerated. These are things you have to think about when purchasing a generator. So, do you want to store gas or propane if you have a generator, or do you want to go electric or solar power? Um, and then, besides the medical needs that I mentioned, do you just want to run a refrigerator? Do you have a small refrigerator that you could use? Do you want to use it for lighting in the house? So, you have to assess the different needs. Some people, I went, let's see, I went 56 years without having a large generator at my house. Um, we purchased one about 6 months before the January fires, and it was, the 5 days we had no electricity, or we didn't lose any food from our refrigerator. We have two refrigerators. We consolidated into the smaller one, and we just made sure we were keeping the necessities um, available. Because you figure if you have a generator, you can keep your refrigerator going, and any food that you have in the fridge or freezer is going to be accessible to you.
This is so
So,
great. We're talking with Jeff Edelstein about survival products and emergency preparedness. You can never talk about this topic too much. It should be on your mind daily. What's on your person, what's in your car, what's in your home, what's in your garage, and what you have plans to acquire so that you are ready before the disaster, right, Jeff?
exactly.
I want to add that it's great to now customize your personal go bag and your professional go bag, because at the office, you might have a different accessibility to needs for your food, your lighting, your backup electricity, your cash. Because if the computers go down there and there's no light, you have to have cash on hand to be able to barter. You have to have food that is not perishable. You have to have at least a battery pack available. But I want to talk to you about radios and communication, because communication and your phone, which does operate, if your battery has power, you can use static apps that have information in it to communicate, right, Jeff? So, what type of a radio is easy for the average person to learn how to use?
There, there's basic AM FM radios that work off AA batteries. That's a really simple option. Any station that's able to broadcast will broadcast information. Beyond that, there's radios that have weather band or weather alerts. Now, there's some of the better quality ones that truly do work. So they have weather alerts. So if you're in an area that has any type of weather, unlike Southern California, if you have snowstorms or high heat or fires or different types of disaster events, the National Weather Service will broadcast information on alerts to the different areas or different regions. So a weather alert radio, I think, is one of the most important things for people throughout the country. California is finally starting to utilize them with regards to natural disasters, with regards to the warning. So that's a nice feature. They make weather alert radios that plug into an outlet in the wall, that have battery backups, some that work off solar and battery. So there's all types of variations available. But if you have some sort of radio, you want to also make sure that you test it,
Yeah.
because all these different items, I could mention all the items in the world, but if they're not going to work for your specific needs, Christina, you mentioned you want to customize kits to your needs, whether it's the food or the amount of water that you consume, or the lighting, but also if you have a radio and it says it charges a cell phone. Some of those do a great job charging a cell phone, but make sure you test out the supplies you have, because you don't want that false sense of security. This phone has a cell phone charger. You plug it in and you get like a 1 minute charge. That doesn't do you a lot of good. So if you have one of the emergency radios that broadcasts different stations and different emergency bands, those are great. If it has the ability to charge a phone, you may want to look into keeping those charged on an annual basis, or every about 4 months. So I
Right.
usually utilize my phone and my reminder on my phone for a lot of the supplies that I have. Um, Different foods and waters, or different foods, how they're packaged might have anywhere from a 1 year or 5 year or 10 or 20 or 30 year shelf life. So I have reminders on my phone to update my supplies or check my canned food. Canned food has a 1 to 2 year shelf life. I utilize my phone as a reminder every year. Check the canned food. We take all our canned food, donate it to a food bank, and then we use a little checklist and buy all new canned food. With regards to radios and any charging devices, because these are very valuable, your cell phone or portable devices for communication, so important for communicating with each other. But if you don't have something to charge it, or if it's not charged ahead of time, um, you're going to be out of luck in communicating. So whether it's a cell phone charger, the little blocks that you could charge a cell phone, with those, again, on my phone, I have a reminder, whether it's one that I keep in the car or the house or my office. And every 4 months, I have a pop-up that says charge your cell phone chargers. And that goes to the little blocks or the little radios that I have that charge cell phones. I go through them all. Um, Again, you don't want that false sense of security. People will buy the cell phone chargers and throw it in their emergency kit and forget about it.
Right.
And that's, again, why do that? Why spend the time buying supplies, setting them aside, if you're not going to take care of them.
That is such an excellent tip. I'm sitting here going, yes, I'm doing it right. And I wanted to say too, with regard to communication, it's great to have an inexpensive set of two-way radios and a plan. So Jeff has already talked to us about knowing the expiry dates of our canned foods, having our cell phones and batteries charged on a regular basis, and setting reminders. That is genius. All you have to do is make a spreadsheet one time and then let it work for you, because automation is very important so that survival is not a task. It's something about readiness that gives you confidence that if something happens, you're already ready with some sort of a plan. Now, Jeff, we're going to talk about actually executing your plan with your loved ones and your colleagues. Have you done a safety walkthrough of your plan? Should something happen and you have to evacuate?
We, you could say I've done a safety walkthrough, but I've had, in the last 15 years, I've had 3 times where we've had to evacuate our house for different fires. So no other way to learn it best by actually having a natural disaster that you have to evacuate. But yeah, I highly recommend. I think that's a great idea, is to do a walkthrough. Actually, when it comes to evacuating, you have to think about a couple different things. One of them is, first you want to have a plan. And with regards to that plan is having a checklist. You mentioned checklists earlier. I highly, highly, highly recommend keep it simple, stupid. When it comes to having a checklist for evacuation, plan on forgetting stuff. Plan on being confused and overwhelmed with everything that's going on. So if you have everything written down, and as I said, keep it really simple. Have a list. On the list, include all your important documents that you have to evacuate with, because if you don't bring those, having your documents is not just to preserve them; it's also for the recovery phase of things. If you don't have your insurance information, how are you going to recover? If you don't have your mortgage papers or your rental insurance or any of your insurance information set aside, um, birth certificates. And when we had the fires in January in Southern California, my parents were evacuated for about 7 days. To get back into the area, usually they say have a driver's license and basically 2 forms of ID. A lot of times they don't tell you you should also have a utility bill with you, because they end up needing a utility bill and 2 forms of ID to get back into their house, or into their neighborhood. So having that evacuation plan, and have it scripted. So again, you have all your personal documentation, and then you could have on it photo albums or photos, or again, plan ahead. Instead of having photo albums that you have to pull and take up all types of room, scan all those papers and all that information. Utilize technology. And what I've done, yeah, they have cloud services, but I went to one of the electronic stores or Costco and got a portable external hard drive that we've put all of our photos on. Something about knowing that I have it in my hand as opposed to having to search on the cloud if I can't get on that cloud. So all our documentation is on that hard drive. All our photos are on that hard drive, because you can never replace all those photos if you lose them. So those are important things. A quick example, one of our friends, with the Woolsey fire, they evacuated. Their son was living out of town at that time in college. And when we evacuated, we were out of the house for a week. They were out of their house for a week. And we when we evacuated our house, we took the dogs. We had about 3 weeks worth of pet food. We took all our documentation. We had our kids with us. We we just brought the necessities, things that we knew we might need, but things that were on our list of importance. Uh, on the flip side, our friends that evacuated their house, their son, again, living out of town, They forgot his turtle in his room, and Speedy survived the fires. He was on his own for about a week, but people forget simple little things, and every time, glasses are one of those things people forget. Personal medications, always that should be the top priority on the list.
Most
For an
definitely.
evacuation, people always, always, always forget their medications. That's probably the personal medication and glasses, two things people forget.
Yes, that is excellent. Well, Jeff is so great to come on as a subject matter expert to make us understand that certain things should be normalized. Conversation about emergency preparedness. And he's got a professional side leading an organization with the same type of expertise, from personal preparedness to corporate preparedness. Jeff Edelstein is our expert today. So the 6 P's, let's go over them again. You should memorize. It's going to be people and pets, papers, prescriptions, pictures, your personal computer, and plastic, your credit card. Can you believe that? And also plastic protective pockets for your papers, such as your mortgage deed, your birth certificate, any other papers for your, I would put my degrees in there, of course. And I have those already packed. I have different backpacks that are labeled. I put personal weaponry. You want to also have the license for that weapon on you at all times. And your prescriptions, so important. I talk to my doctor for my vitamins or whatever other prescriptions you may have, to get enough so that you can put your prescriptions in a package that are already labeled by the day and have that in your go bag. It's really important to remember to have your laptop where you can grab it and go, right, Jeff?
Yep, yep, yep. Actually, I just want to mention one thing real quick. You mentioned prescriptions. When we evacuated in January, one of our family members evacuated to our house. We didn't have to evacuate, but one of our family members evacuated to our house, and they thought they'd only be gone for a day. They brought about a day's worth of medication. They were out of their house for 8 days. So plan big. If you're evacuating, don't plan for a couple days, plan for a couple weeks. Think that you may not be able to get back into your house for a few weeks. So have all
Yes.
those items.
Yes, definitely. So at SOS Survival Products, you can actually go online and you can build your custom products, and Jeff's company can have your order ready when you get there, right, Jeff?
Exactly.
So let's talk about budgeting. Everyone's afraid to talk about money, but the best thing you can ever do is stop eating out for 1 week and begin the process to build your go bag. Let's talk about that, Jeff. What would be the average cost for about a 72-hour survival pre-packaged kit?
Uh, you're talking for one person, it could be around $50 on up. From one person to four people, anywhere from 50 to about $200.
And we're
That's
talking
for 3
MREs and
days.
what comes in that kit, would you say? Pardon me. Everyone, we're talking with Jeff Edelstein, the proprietor from SOS Survival Products, with over 35 years of experience helping you get prepared before the disaster. And we're describing per person how much you should invest, not spend, invest in your kit. Take it away, Jeff.
Okay, sorry. So, pre-made kits can range. It could be 25, 50 to a couple $100 that you're spending. But when you're getting a kit, you want to make sure you customize it to meet your needs. It's impossible for me to, oh wow, too much cheering for the Dodger game at the Dodger game
Right?
or for the
Go
Dodgers.
Dodgers.
Oh, sorry. um, so when putting together a kit, you want to come up with a budget, and I just have to take a little
And we'll take a
honey for a
little
second.
break, everyone. And
Yeah.
when we come back, we're going to learn more about how to put together your SOS Survival Products kit right after these words. Silva Show, Educating Our Veterans Live, is proudly brought to you by sponsors that care about military members and their families. Be Percy Ready. Plan with the app and evacuate with the Percy Vest. All of the essentials in one place to help your family stay safe in disaster. Just grab your Percy Vest and go. It's hands-free, lightweight, and easy to find in a rush. PercyVest.us. Diversify your investment portfolio with the Wealth Builders Mastermind Group, created by John J. Sneed, aka the Stock Professor. The Wealth Builders Mastermind Group is running a special to show you how money really works. Join the Wealth Builders Mastermind Group now for only $99 for a 30-day unlimited access to the Mastermind Group course and community. The WealthBuildersMastermindGroup.com is here to help you diversify your portfolio and earn wealth while you're sleeping. Take your brand to the next level with Beverly Hills Webs, pushing the boundaries. Dream, plan, develop, and make your brand a reality. With Beverly Hills Webs CEO Cheryl Bernard. We're back with more of the Christina Silva Show and our next segment with Jeff Edelstein. Jeff, thank you so much for taking the time today to help us make disaster readiness our conversation and lifestyle. Now it's time to build our kits with SOS survival products. So per person, you were sharing with us how much it would be to invest to cover ourselves for 3 days per person.
Yeah, people tend to spend different amounts of money, and it really depends how customized you want to make a kit. You could go with real simple things: food, water, some first aid, basic flashlight, basic radio, and you're spending anywhere from, for one person, anywhere from 25 to about $50. Um, if you want to start adding in different things like a cell phone charger and a little portable generator and MREs, freeze dried food, you're going to exponentially increase the cost of that kit. Uh, MREs could be, $100 for a case. A little portable generator, 300-watt unit, could be about $300.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on how comprehensive you want it is really going to determine what you're going to spend. But the nice thing is, with budgeting to make a kit, is you can go step by step. What some people do is, like I mentioned earlier, with canned food alone, we have about a month's supply of canned food at home.
Mm-hmm.
And we have it in a couple of big plastic bins by the front door in a hallway closet. We have a checklist of where we buy all the canned food and the food options that we buy. One thing, I mentioned customizing. I've become, over the last few years, very allergic to corn. So I have to be careful of food allergies of what's in the different cans. But once a year, we take all of our canned food, donate it to a food bank, and buy all new canned food. So it's not just going to waste. So there's ways you could cycle through your stuff. It's not going to waste. And, again, that goes to good use. But it's taking the time to do it. Too often, it's too often people are just don't want it. They get overwhelmed. They don't want to spend the time. They don't want to purchase a kit. They don't want to put it together themselves. And then they just go, kid, what do I do? So again, we've tried to make it easy and have pre-made emergency kits that range from 1-person kits, 2-person, 4-person, 5-person. And they're kits that can be kept in a car, in a house, in an office, in different places. And there's different levels of these. But even with the kits that we sell, we recommend purchase a kit just to get started as your base, and then augment it with other items. Once you have the kit, at least it's something. And then say you want to add MREs, then you go out and purchase some MREs, and then that gives you at least a week's supply of food. And then maybe water is a concern. So there's only so much water we can put in the kit.
Right.
But then you go out and whether it's getting from Costco or the market, you buy gallons of water or 5 gallon containers. Keeping in mind, you want to rotate that every year or every 2 years. Or there's larger containers that you could, like on the side of the house, we have 4 55 gallon drums full of water. Uh, I have an additive in there so I could store it for a 5 year period of time. So that's something over time we've just built up our stock, our cache of supplies. Some people come in once a month and buy supplies from us just a little at a time. So you definitely come up with a plan each month, whether it's food one month, water the next, electronics, um, sanitation supplies, first aid supplies, and just pick away at those different things. And again, if you start with a basic kit, at least you start with something, and then you're just augmenting and customizing it. By the time you're done, it's going to really meet your needs. But well,
Yes.
that last thing with that is constantly assess what's in the kit because needs change. My dad had hearing aids, and they were battery operated, so he always had about 2 months supply of batteries for his hearing aids. They changed to the USB, the hearing aids that are charged, so rechargeable hearing aids. Well, when you have that, you have to make sure you have either a little generator or a little charging device that you can charge them. So things change, food options change.
Yes, of all that we've talked about to building our survival awareness and our emergency preparedness mindset, I think of mobility. That word is stuck in my head now. To be mobile with your readiness is to think about this and to reassess what you've done. So you may already have a go bag, and if you do, kudos to you. Your charged homework for the day is to check your expiry dates. Get a spreadsheet made and don't forget about your 6 P's at the top of your mind: prescriptions, your personal computer, your pets, your photos, your papers, and your plastic, your credit card, and some cash. I'm going to tell you 2 things that are outside the box in my personal customized kit, and so is Jeff, so that you can start to expand your thinking. One thing I have, believe it or not, is I threw out my knees, my hip, and my back. Associated to the military and with my aging motorcycling stunt career, I have a cane, which can dupe as a weapon, can also dupe as a picking mechanism if I have to get some debris out of my way. And I have a bag of feminine products. I know it sounds funny, but just think about it. You can help someone else, and these items can also dupe as bootstrap ties for your hairband. You know, you can attach things to yourself with those hairbands. Learn how to tie a knot. And when is the last time you had your first aid certification renewed or brand new, becoming first aid certified, taking free FEMA classes on the IS system, or getting your certified emergency response team member involvement with your fire department? Once you start doing these type of things, then your sphere of influence is going to change, and you may even become a member of BICEPP. So Jeff, tell us 2 things that are different in your go bag for your custom needs, and then tell us if you're cert trained, if you are first aid certified, and then we'll move into the organization called BICEPP.
You got it. Uh, one of the most important things I have in my emergency kits, being in this business for so many years, I've become a flashlight geek. So I've gone overboard. Every single room in the house has a lantern. So if there's a power outage, I could light up the room, as well as flashlights. Um, so I like having flashlights that are going to be a good quality flashlight that I could rely on. But lighting is comfort to me, and I don't. We've had plenty of power outages. They happen more often than any type of natural disaster. So that's one of the key things I have in my emergency kits, is lighting, whether it be flashlights or lanterns. Um, and then, hmm, the other thing that I think an important thing that I've had set aside in my different kits are like a little multi-tool. Uh, and can again, I've kind of gone overboard. I probably have them in in
That's your
every
hardware
kit.
background.
I have probably about 4 or 5 of them in my car. But it just it becomes an item that whether it has scissors and a plier and a knife and all different things. You could use it for first aid because there's sometimes a tweezer. You could use it because it has a screwdriver and you could punch a hole in something. So I don't know. Those are two small little things: lighting and some sort of multi-tool. Um,
Definitely. I have
yeah,
quite a few myself. I have the 100 tool, one that's famous. I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but it has 100 tools on it, and you wear it on your belt. And it was
yeah,
quite expensive to acquire, but I have that with me wherever I go. And yeah, it's very important to know how to tie a rope, and to use gloves. Gloves are very important for your kit. And plastic gloves inside your hardware gloves are going to be a great addition to keep your hands clean. That's one thing. Share with me if you're first aid certified. Are you a cert as well?
uh, I am first aid certified. I've gone through the different certifications and do that every about 1 to 2 years. With regards to CERT, I went through CERT training back in 94, 95. I've trained the trainer courses. So I'm not active with CERT, but we have become in the last 35 years of business, we've become a very large member of the CERT community, supporting all the CERT programs throughout the United States. Uh,
Definitely.
whether it's in programs that they're doing or supplies or teaching classes, going to different events that they're having, and we'll teach classes in personal preparedness to them. So
Thank you,
yeah,
Jeff. It seems like I want
sure.
to be your neighbor. Well, there's a great thing to talk about, and that's the organization called BICEPP. Now, BICEPP is the Business Industry Council for Emergency Planning and Preparedness. I'm so honored that my 1 year anniversary is coming up in a few days of being part of the organization as a rising star, and why it's important to thank Julianne Lequette and all of the persons at BICEPP that lead the organization is because I've learned so much about making emergency preparedness part of my lifestyle. And I keep telling someone else, and they tell someone, and they tell someone. And that means we are making the entire community safe. Because sharing in an event, everyone loves to make these banners saying LA strong, LA fires, Palisades strong, and Altadena strong, and Woolsey, and all the fires. We have to learn to share with others information, especially corporate information about strategy. So share with me how you found BICEP and what your role has been over the years, and why you're so excited about the 42nd year anniversary awards event that's coming up.
Yeah, well, BICEP is a business group of emergency managers, emergency planners, consultants, different businesses that work together. We've formed almost like a community of people that are concerned with preparedness, and that's not necessarily just home preparedness. It's mainly um, the people involved are cities and large, very large corporations to small mom and pop businesses. And the amount of information sharing I've been able to do over the last, I think I think I probably joined about 29 years ago. Um, it the the uh, contacts that I've made, not just contacts, the relationships I've built in this group have been invaluable
Yeah.
over the years. Whether it's been uh, utilizing the different resources or people I've met through BICEP um, to help, not necessarily to help grow my business, but as a as somebody that's in the business of preparing other people, I want to be as educated as possible. And there is such a wealth of knowledge in this organization called BICEP. Um, whether it's the webinars or seminars that I have sat in on, or just calling one of the board members or just one of the members and contacting them when we've had disasters or pre-disasters, or just to gain knowledge. It's just been, like I said, invaluable in my business career, and I guess in my emergency preparedness, my path in emergency preparedness. That's more so how it's been valuable. Um, and then over the years, I've held just about every. I'm not president. I'm not going to be president, but I've been treasurer and secretary. I've been in charge of the publications and committee chairs of different things. I've been the committee chair for this annual event about 3 or 4 times. And it had been about 6 or 7 years since I've been the chair for the annual event. And I'm doing it again because it's such an honor to be able to uh, bring light to different people that have created change in emergency preparedness, whether it's um, uh, the what one of the items, one of the award winners is Watch Duty. I think his name is John from the Watch Duty app. Now, that was a resource that anybody that was dealing with fires in January, February in Southern California, that that was on everybody's cell phone, popping up minute by minute, giving contact information or giving information of what was going on with the fires. Um, but yeah, the organization, we really are making a point. We have 17 awardees this year, and we have just an amazing slate of people getting the awards. Um, and again, these people, we want to acknowledge them. Too often, emergency planners, emergency managers do not get acknowledged. They're doing all the groundwork, all the grunt work, all the things to help keep a community safe, and they get forgotten about. And it's so important that we acknowledge them and bring them to light. And yeah, and that's one of the reasons we have this event. So we have a pretty large group of people coming this year um, on January 6th, and we're going to have again
November
night.
6th. Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, thank you, November 6th. Wow,
Sure.
we're going to have nice dinner, as well as the 17 awardees will be recognized. We'll get to learn about ones that some of us have never met. Um, and then the networking at this event is bar none. It's probably our best networking event. There's going to be anywhere from 70 to 100 people there, and um, I get to, even though I've been in this industry for 35 years, there's still people I haven't met, and I get to meet new people at this and share ideas. And it's really like I said, the relationships that I've gotten to build through this organization, and it's just such a pleasure to be able to say, I know this person. There was a natural disaster. There was the North earthquake, or the fires, or whatever natural disaster happened. I could easily contact any of these people, somebody that's specific to an area, and gain more information or insight to how I could better prepare myself or my customers the next time there's a disaster, or just for communication. It's just such a great group, and such great networking that goes on at this event.
Yes, this is awesome. I can attest to the fact that it's true. And if I just think of the 10 to 12 meetings that I attended over the last year, I learned about the important framework of an emergency operating center, from the county to the Universal Studios to huge mega corporations and school districts and independent individuals that are part of the meetings, the networking. But your mind starts to conceptualize what actually happens, from first responders to the actual, persons that help to recoup or to respond to an emergency, and what communications are happening behind the scenes. What an amazing part of membership with BICEPP, that you get to see and understand what's going on, which then translates into how you prepare by yourself. If you're at work or if you're at home, understanding what emergency preparedness consists of, what happens before, during, and after the recovery of an event. Like Jeff said, it's an incredible showdown, right? Of all working parts together, which agencies are collaborating, and then you truly understand and you're grateful for those emergency personnel that put their lives on the line to help communities rebuild.
Yeah.
So we invite you to join BICEPP and become emergency preparedness aware and ready for disaster before it strikes. Just visit BICEPP with 2ps.org, bicep.org. We're on a mission with a goal to provide a forum for information exchange and to enhance emergency preparedness and contingency planning within the business community. And that's what we talked about, contingency planning. There's a lot of collaboration that happens behind the scenes, right, Jeff, during an emergency?
Oh, yes.
Yes, but the first step starts with you. If you're interested in a career in emergency management, Jeff has a closing radio show tip for you. Jeff, what could you give to a young person coming up or someone that wants to change industries and delve into emergency planning or preparedness?
Oh, wow.
There's plenty of room. I did it. I'm currently changing my career from real estate, which I'll always be in, into emergency um, management. And what I did was first, I'm going to school, of course, and I have my degree in public administration coming up, a master's. And I know that I communicate well. So my goal is to be the PIO of the EOC. But
Well,
yeah, education is where you would start first. But I think
yes.
getting into an organization like this, you can meet a lot of people to find out which part of the pie you fit in, see which assets and education you have that transfers, and what else would you say?
Yeah. No, I think, like you said, education is a huge portion of it. Um, but joining a group like this and you get a background of such a cross section of people in the organization, and you could learn off their experiences and what's helped them succeed and not succeed, or help them grow in the industry. Um, but the wonderful thing right now in emergency management is a lot of the universities have programs. They have emergency management programs. They have risk management programs. They have contingency planning programs. Uh, but even with all these, making sure that you're taking communication classes, um, because in this industry, if you're an emergency manager and you don't know how to communicate with people, you're not going to be able to be as proficient as you could be. Um, some people say there's a little politicking involved in as an emergency manager, because you have to make sure your superiors are happy with the job you're doing, but you also have to make sure that all the staff is buying into the program.
Mm.
So there's a lot of nuances, and if you can't communicate with your superiors as well as your coworkers and or the staff at the company you're going to be working with, or the city, whoever it is, um, it's going to be a very difficult task. Um, but it's so rewarding to be able to be in this industry and affect change, and that, whether that be experiencing natural disaster and then helping change different policies, or just different programs that people have to make it safer in their communities. Um, and there's so many different levels that somebody could get involved in this industry. But yeah, it's just start with your personal preparedness
Yes.
and then just keep working your way up. Um, and as I said, a lot of the universities have amazing programs. It's just finding the avenue that you want to choose.
That's excellent, Jeff. Jeff Edelstein, he's selected the survival products expertise in emergency management. He's serving in the community, and with a combined background of more than 35 years coming up, you can meet him if you get your ticket today to the 42nd annual awards event. I'll be there, and this year we have a red carpet. So I'm so excited to meet all of our awardees and to thank our leadership at BICEPP. Jeff, this has been a great show that we can listen back to start to make our tracking log for our inventory of survival products. And we know to go to sossurvivalproducts.com to shop online or stop by your wonderful warehouse. You can look through the warehouse Go under the umbrella, cash and carry your confidence that you are ready before the disaster strikes. This is the Christina Silva Show. We have educated our veterans live about emergency preparedness with Jeff Edelstein, and we'll see you next time on the Christina Silva Show. Be safe.